What's up, everybody? Michael Johnson here, and I'm excited that you're here joining me today. We're going to have some fun. We are going to be talking about another set of systems in the E7S systems. That's the essential 7 systems that you need for your business. And I'm excited to have you here today. I know I go on it at a bit random times, but it works with my schedule. So I know a bunch of you watch this later on, and I appreciate your feedback and letting me know what you like and what you want to hear more of. Right now, we're just kind of moseying on through the E7S systems, which is super fun because we've touched on a lot of the basic elements and basic systems. Now, I want to remind you that in the E7S systems, these are possible systems that you need, right? So let me pull in here. I'm going to just change my screen here. So we're going to go to here. So here we are this is the E7 or the BCSF framework, and the E7S framework, the essential 7 systems, is one of the first, although you can see it's not linear. It's in a circle because it's a circle of life when it comes to systems. There are a lot of systems that are necessary and needed as you move through your business, and as you're building a business, as you're refining your business and continuing to do the things that you need to do for your business, you have to have a lot of different systems in play. And so right now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit more. We're going to keep digging in. And today on the list is Ascension systems. Ascension systems. This is super important. Ascension is kind of like it sounds. Ascension is we are ascending our clients from one spot, from one place into another place. And there are lots of cool ways to ascend a client base to the next level. Think of it this way. It's sort of a yellow brick road, right? You start at the beginning of the journey, and each time something was attained, they kept ascending to the next system, right? And at first you thought that getting to Oz was the end all. And then they get to Oz and they're like, I'll help you if. And then the next ascension path, the next thing that was sold to them was you have to get the broomstick. Okay, so then they went on the next quest to go get the broomstick. So it's kind of like that. You have customers that are coming in on a client journey, which is super fun to map out and super fun to play with. I find that many businesses forget to actually revisit their client journey on a regular basis, and that can be detrimental for you. So that's another conversation for another time. However, in the client journey, they might start off by getting something, one of your lead magnets. They might then move towards, okay, I'm going to take out the wallet and buy something on the front end. And then they might buy your core product. And then what? And a lot of times businesses stop there. If you've bootstrapped your business, you might know what I'm talking about. You might have stopped right then and there, and you might have said, okay, I got my core offer. And then you never thought anything past that. Now, maybe you have established your red carpet offer. And if you have, congratulations to you. I think that's important to do. I think that all businesses should do it. I think you should all have a red carpet offer. And believe it or not, most corporate businesses do. You might not know about it because you might not be their target audience, or you might be. This last year, my family and I went to Disney, and it was a fun experience. We've been to Disney a number of times, Disneyland, and at different age categories or age groups with my kids. And they, this time, were much older. And so they were able and capable of going off and doing some of the things that they wanted to do on their own. And so my wife and I, we were in the New Orleans Square over by Pirates of the Caribbean. and there's nice shops and shopping in that area, and just some nice fun things to look at, right? And so the kids wanted to go off and do their thing, and we were like, well, we're just going to stay here and shop. We're kind of tired, our legs are tired, we don't necessarily want to keep walking. And they were like, we want to ride this ride for the 100th time. So they ran off to go do their thing, and we're walking through the shopping area. And as we sat down, because I mean, you know how it is at Disney, you walk a lot, and so you get tired. So we found a place, a little bench to sit down at. And as I sat there, I do what I always do. I started looking at systems. I started looking at how people operate. I started looking at the workers and the things that they do and how they kept the place clean, and looking at the different things that were running and operating this well-oiled machine called Disneyland. Most people don't think of Disneyland and think of high ticket offers. However, as I sat there and was being my observant self, I looked across the way and there was a door. And I thought, I wonder where that door goes. So I started paying attention, and people were walking in and out. And okay, that door is for some of the workers to bring stuff very, very subtly to the stores and shops. And then I look over and there's another door. And across from me, I look at this door, and it has, I think it had the number 33 on it. I thought, that's an awfully strange door for a regular old, service door for the workers. So I watch, and then I see some people come out of there. They're not your average people. And when you're observant like me, I noticed what they were wearing, noticed their shoes, noticed their jewelry, noticed the watches, noticed the purse that the woman was carrying. And I thought, So we were staying there for a while. We weren't in any hurry. We were just kind of chilling out. So I watched and then I watched the next people that walked in that door. And I watched a couple of people walking out of that door with some bags and stuff. And so then I was like, wonder what that is. So of course, as I tell my kids, I searched it up. Turns out that there is a very highfalutin, high-end club. And I can't remember the exact name, Club 33 or something 33, something. And anyway, the fact of the matter is it's a very exclusive group that you can apply to join for a very large amount of money and be part of this Disney club. And there's a place to eat there, and there's all sorts of cool perks for being part of that club. Ride perks, dining perks, entrance privileges, subtlety for being famous, still wanting to be there, right? So there's all these crazy perks for being part of this club. And I thought, man, even Disney has a cool Ascension path. Now, we're talking about the high-end, high class red carpet offer for Disney, right? And I'm sure there's others, because with every corporation, there's higher and higher end perks that you can be involved in and take advantage of. So the reason I tell you this story is because even with corporate entities, even with these big businesses that you may not think have a red carpet offer or some sort of Ascension path for their customers, they do. Now, we're talking about the high end. There could be Ascension paths on the low end. If we're talking Disney, we could talk, you could get your ticket, you could get Fast Pass, you can get Fast Pass Genie Plus, or whatever they're calling it now. They change the name every week, it feels like. But there's always an Ascension path for those people that want to spend more money. I had a friend go to Disney recently with some friends, and they bought the ticket and they were ready to go and they planned for it. And then they get there and all their friends were like, we're getting Lightning Lane and we're going to pay the extra. And they're like, wait a second, we didn't plan for that. And so there was a clear path to Ascension. And then, of course, they did it anyway because everybody else was doing it, right? So Ascension is an important part of your business, because to think that your customers have purchased and therefore they're done purchasing, well, that's a silly thought. There are a whole group of your customers that are super hot buyers. Then you have the warm buyers, and then you have the cold buyers, right? So we'll just split them into three real quick. Your cold buyers are like everything they can do to pull the trigger and buy, and then they are probably done. And then they still might buy a soda and a pretzel, right? Or whatever the case may be. Then you have your warm buyers who they're like, oh, okay, I'm going to buy. And then they know they're going to pay for other stuff. So they have a budget for souvenirs, and then they have a budget for food. And then they have a little bit of a budget for maybe a little extra excursion or something else, right? Cruise ships take advantage of this concept all the time, right? But having a great Ascension path makes it so that we can improve your LTV. Now, let's talk about LTV in case you're not familiar with it, because sometimes it gets hard to keep up with all of these stinking acronyms, right? And I understand that. So LTV stands for lifetime value. Don't question it too much, all right? I think it's silly. There's some logical flaws in the concept of lifetime value, but generally speaking, like, what is the value of that customer over their lifetime? And we're not talking about their lifetime, like when they're born and when they die, although you could do it that way, right? But maybe the lifetime of them being your customer, right, would potentially determine their lifetime value. And to you, it's their lifetime value. Now, how do you know that specifically? Because it might take a long time for them to buy again. So they might have a longer lifetime value. Okay, yeah, granted, right? So take it with a grain of salt, but it is a common term, so you should know it. So we have this idea, lifetime value, and it's basically what that customer is worth to you. And I don't mean this morally. We're just talking about it from a business perspective. Okay, so don't get all hurt about, well, what do you mean what they're worth to me? They're humans, they're worth a lot. Okay, well, that's fine. Okay, but let's just talk about it in terms of the amount that that customer is worth to your business, essentially. So if they come in and all they ever buy was a $17 product, then they're only worth $17. But if they come in at $17 and you break even with your ad spend for that $17, and then you sell them a $2,000 package, and then in that $2,000 package, they upsell themselves, or you upsell them, and they buy one or two other things. Let's say they bought something else and it was for $1,000. I'm just making this up, right? So now you have the 17, that was a break even. You have the 2,000 that they initially came in on, and they potentially upsell themselves to the 1,000. And so that's it. And that's where they stop. So now you have a $3,000 client, and that's what that client or customer is worth to you. So now you have a general idea that that client is worth about $3,000 to you. Now, if you were breaking even getting that client at $17, then that $3,000 is all free money, because you're not paying for it, for them to be there. Now, you are still on expenses, and that's another conversation altogether. So we could actually dig into that a little deeper. We're not gonna. We're just going to take this at face value for right now. So we say, okay, that's a $3,000 client. So what happens if we could improve their lifetime value? Okay, so let's say we have 100 customers, and of that 100 customers that came in on that $17, and then they paid $2, and then they all bought another $1,000. Now that's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. If 100% of those 100 customers bought that upsell, then you would have $100 times 3,000, or 100 customers times 3,000. That's $300,000. Okay, cool. That's great. And we'll say that on average, they all do it. So now you have 100, maybe you have 200 clients and 50% of them do that. So now you're saying, well, 50% of our clients all got the extra 1,000, paid the extra 1,000, and over the lifetime of them being in our ecosystem, we know we're going to get about $3,000 from them. Okay, great. So now you can say, I can start to mess with that amount of money, right? Now, there are lots of conversations we could have about that. So just put that on the shelf. We now understand a little bit about what lifetime value is, right? Lifetime value of our customers. So let's talk about how we could improve that LTV. And the way we can improve that LTV is by implementing an Ascension system that could potentially take them from that 3,000 that we already know, that we've already figured out how to get them to purchase that $3,000 worth of goods and services, essentially. So now we're going to say, what kind of system, what kind of thing could we build, or an offer could we give them to improve our lifetime value of that customer? Okay, so that's where we get to build an Ascension system. And so this is kind of a classic Ascension system, and it's a rare occasion that it doesn't work in an expert business. If you are an expert at something, now I say that, and at the same time, I also know it works in just about every industry. I mean, let's get real. The one I'm going to show you today and the one we're going to talk about today, it works in pretty much every business. It's just about your creativity and how you could implement it. So I'd love the challenge. So if you're like, oh yeah, Michael, well, does it work in this business? Prove it. All right, come at me, bro. Let's do it. Put it in the comments. Let me know if you think you can stump me and go, I don't think what you show me today is going to work in this system or in my particular case. All right, let's do it. Let's see it. Bring it. It'll be fun. I think it'll be exciting. Maybe you'll stump me. Probably not. All right, so let's jump in. And here we are. We're in the Choreo systems board. All right. If you're not familiar with this, or this is your first time, these are all our systems up top. We got the E7S system, we've got the M4S system, we got the TCL system. They're over here on the side. I kind of signified these E7S systems in the green, so when you see the green there, you know it's an E7S system. We didn't actually map out a system. We were more talking about personal choreography systems on Friday last week, I think. So go watch that one. That was a really good one, and you can learn a bit more about personal choreography systems. Today, we're talking about Ascension choreography. I did just a little bit of prep ahead of time so I could spend the time speaking instead of moving items around. So let's zoom in here and let's talk about this for just a moment. So we have a trigger here. And remember, all of these, right? I'm going to zoom back out again. All of these overlap to some extent, right? And that's why systems are hard, because you could isolate a system, but they all overlap, and they all should overlap. And if they don't overlap, then that's part of your problem. And that's why we have a whole framework called the TCL. That's the choreography layer. It's how everything's layered together. So if any of you out there are looking at this and going, gosh, that seems like there was a piece of that in one of the other systems, you're right. There are pieces and parts that intertwine and overlap, and that makes up for a good operating system, which is what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to have an operating system. In case some of you didn't know, I spent a lot of time as the chief operations officer for a mid-sized software company, and we spent a lot of time in operations, not disjointing these systems. But when I started fixing them, and when I started working on making those systems better, my charge was, how could I start to integrate the systems together so that there was a better operating system, right? The operating system is the overarching system, and all of the systems that each of the departments were running, they were kind of working, but they weren't interacting together. And so we had to find ways to make them connect. That's what I call the choreography layer, right? That's this omega. I call it the end, right? There's two omegas overlapped, and that's because they're choreographed together. All right, so I digress. Let's go back to Ascension choreography, and the system that we're going to build here, again, a basic system, but it's a classic one, is an ascension to a mastermind. So we're going to assume they've already bought We assume that they're already in your fulfillment. We're assuming that you're doing some good retention, and it might be in the retention is where the overlap is for this ascension, is that you might be leading them or guiding them to start to know that this ascension choreography system or this ascension path is there for them. And so the path here is we want to get them to a mastermind. Masterminds are cool. They're really great. I love going to them. There's so much value in a mastermind, especially with a great leader and some really great people in the mastermind. So our outcome is get them to ascend to a mastermind. Now, there's lots of ways you can do a mastermind, and a mastermind group could be something that they travel to. It could be something that you do online, depending on your thing. But people love to connect. And so a high class, high end experience for your clients, if they've already bought your core offer, is to get them to go to a mastermind. And we're just going to say that it's a location event, right? So we're going to put here that they're going to go to an event. Where is my, oh, there it is. Mastermind event. And that's part of the fun, right? Now, this might be a high ticket event. And so you're going to do some work to sell them on that. Now, you notice I put here a little indication that there's an automation here. And I just dropped in the little symbol for trigger, right? The trigger at the top of any well-formed system. So the trigger here is something in here, something in your fulfillment or in your retention choreography where you're like, okay, these people are already in my world. They're already buying. They're already on board. Let's trigger them, right? Let's put them into a sequence or some automation that starts to let them know that there's this other thing available for them. And that's great. You can determine what that trigger is and what the specifics are of it. But what we're going to write here in this particular trigger, just in the writing for us, is that they are already a customer and they are a potential for the mastermind. Now, if you've never done a mastermind or you've never created a mastermind, obviously we should talk. They're a lot of fun. They're really cool. They're not hard to run, but they're super valuable for all parties involved. And usually, since you make them a destination and a place for everybody to go, usually that means that there's some work involved in setting it up, but that's part of what you're getting paid for, right? Is organizing the event. So really cool, some really, really fun things there. So you would have to, in this process, and I'm not sure I'm going to do this part with you guys, because really the process would be different for all of you. I don't know. Let's go ahead and entertain the idea. But let's wait on the writing for just a second. So you decide the trigger. Let's say they're in your retention choreography and you're getting ready for the mastermind. So everybody on your customer list is going to get invited. So that's the trigger. And now you send them a sequence of emails. The sequence of emails isn't to sell them the mastermind per se. The sequence of emails is to sell them or get them to click to the page. And this is where a lot of people go wrong, is that they get in there and they go straight for the jugular and they're like, okay, let's send them an email and sell them on the mastermind. And so they're trying to do all their selling in the emails. And one really great master copywriter taught me once that the goal is one thing at a time. If you're working with a really great master copywriter, they are trying to get one thing accomplished ever at any given time. The first thing they want you to do is open the email. And that's it. That's the first thing. So what do? They have to have really good hooks in the subject line. If they can get you to open the email, then the next thing they're trying to do is get you to read the first sentence. And so that sentence has to be really good, because the goal of the first sentence is to get you to read the next paragraph. And the goal of that next paragraph is to get you to read the next sentence. And then somewhere in there, the goal of that sentence is to get you to click. And maybe the entire goal of that email, maybe each of these emails, is literally just to get you to click to the page. The page is going to be where its job is to sell you the Ascension, the mastermind that we're talking about, right? So if we're trying to sell that mastermind here, then the goal of this page, the one singular goal of a funnel page, right? Because that's why we would call it a funnel page, because we're funneling them in, right? Is to sell them this offer. And the offer's job, or the offer, is the mastermind. And the mastermind's probably a high ticket mastermind of some sort, right? In this classic example. Actually, let's go ahead and put that here. Let's grab this. We're going to put that right there. And we're just going to put, we're just going to put mastermind. That way we can remember what it is. Mastermind system. Okay. So the goal of that page is just to get them to buy. And if they buy, there's classic system after that. Thank you page. And of course, you've got your classic follow-up sequence there. Here's what you do next. Here's what you got to plan for. Here's what's coming, right? And that could be a long sequence, a short sequence, and there's a lot of cool things you could do systematically utilizing a cool platform like Choreo Suite to just deliver those emails at the right time, right? Because the mastermind might be in October, but you might be selling it starting in January. And so you might initially send them a confirmation email. And then in maybe in March, you're sending them a, don't forget you signed up, you should look at hotels. And then, you know, in May, you might be saying like May or June, hey, you should start to book your flights to get there. Why? Just because you don't want them to forget and be like, oh, I can't come because I forgot to book my hotel or my flight. So you do the nice thing, which is the consumption sequence that is timed just right. And that's a level of high touch that's really valuable, and your customers will really appreciate it. But how easy is this system? Now, we could talk about the fulfillment of a mastermind, right? In which case we would need to come back and say, okay, well, let's grab this fulfillment, and we would need to put in a fulfillment system here for this mastermind. So we're not doing that right now. So let's not get distracted, but we're just talking about what this Ascension path would be. It's super simple. A set of emails that are written masterfully to get them to click to the page. The page is going to be your sales page, and your sales page is going to have whatever it needs to have there to sell them. Even if it has, like, you could even put in a booking link. Like, are you not sure? Do you need to ask some questions? Click here to book a time. If you're ready to book here and reserve your spot. There are only 20 spots, right? Because, you know, you got to decide how big your mastermind is going to be. And I know plenty masterminds where they've closed the doors and they're like, we can take 12 people because we don't want to rent a larger boardroom than for 12 people. And that's a pretty average size for a boardroom that you could rent at a hotel. And you might want to have a nice, quaint mastermind with 12 people in the room. And so you go, there's 12 spots. If you need to talk to me, book a time here. If not, pay for it and you're in. There's 12 spots. You could even put a counter there or something to count it down or whatever. You could do all sorts of things just to create urgency, right? But it's a pretty simple system for a mastermind Ascension system, right? And so, you know, maybe there's some things here like decide what the mastermind is all about. Guess I should have highlighted the whole thing there, right? And then, obviously this system is going to be pretty straightforward to build once you have your offer. Create the offer, and then we're going to create the email automation sequence. And then we're going to create the funnel, which would be the landing page and the thank you page there. Maybe you do on-page order form. Maybe you do a pop-up order form. Maybe you do a second page order form. There's lots of strategic reasons to do one or the other. So you can kind of do some different things there. And then create a good consumption sequence. So that's pretty easy, and it's pretty straightforward, pretty straight up, right? And are there some other things we could do in this? Yes, absolutely. We could, this is obviously trying to get them to click to this page, and you could make this 5 emails, you could make it 14 emails. It just depends, right? And if you're going to start promoting it, in January, which might be a little too early for October, but let's just pretend that you were going to start promoting in January and then the event was in October. So you might have a set of emails that go out periodically every month that kind of remind and try to sell, and their jobs of those emails are literally just to get them to go to this page and let the page sell, right? And so building that is huge. I mean, and they're experts in so many different areas, right? One of my good buddies, that's a master copywriter. I mean, I think he's like between 25 and 50 grand just to write that page. He's that good, right? But it's worth millions to the person that he's writing it for. And so, it's not that you can't do it too, but when you have a master copywriter, that's their thing, it's what they do. And, sometimes that's a great investment, right? And I think it's a good route to go. In fact, the same thing happens for these emails and for the consumption emails all the way through. When you have a great copywriter that understands it, I think great copywriters still beat AI. I think AI is really good at copying the copywriters and having something that seems like it's the same, but there's a level that great copywriters still have on AI. And I think it's the human element. There's still a human element to it. For those of you that are using AI a lot, it goes off the rails a lot. And so you have to babysit it a lot. And for as smart and as amazing as AI is, there's still a human element that still rules the roost. So just kind of keep that in mind, right? And then obviously, if we're looking at the proof element here, just to finish round off our good system, the proof element is that you fill the mastermind, right? And if you're just doing 12, that might not be too bad, right? If you're doing like an 8 to 10K mastermind or something, then you have 12 people, then that kind of gives you a little bit of room, right? So if you're going like, let's just say it's like 10K just to make the numbers easy, and you're inviting 12 people, you have 12 slots in the room, that's 120K. And now you have some room to really make the experience beautiful and earn some great money and create a really great event for the people that are taking you up on that. And a lot of people, that's their bread and butter. That's how they do their their Ascension, right? They get them in, they sell them a core offer or a front end offer, they sell them a core offer, they ascend them to the mastermind, rinse and repeat. And sometimes they'll do 2, 3, 4 masterminds a year. And depending on when you came in the system, depends on when they upsell you to the mastermind and or invite you to the mastermind as a general whole, right? Sometimes you can't even be in the game until you're in the system and know the language, which is super helpful. I mean, if you think about it, right? If you had a bunch of people coming into your system and they didn't know your language and they didn't know what you were speaking about, it might be a little rough for them. And so I don't find too often that that's the case, that people join up without being familiar, right? And there, like I said, there are always hot buyers. And so if there's a hot buyer, then you want to be prepared for them. And if they're warm, they're going to need a lot more work to get them to the point where they're ready to go. But it just depends. And it could be that you just offer them a really great deal to be in if you're just trying to fill the slot. And that could be pretty cool too, you know? So, all right. So that's what we're going to talk about. I think we're going to close it up there today for the Ascension systems. And that's just a cool basic Ascension system. Like we're talking about something that can increase your lifetime value of that customer. And we're talking about implementing a cool system into your world that could earn you some money, and allow you to really just go deep on the subject that you love. And you'd be surprised. I mean, how many cool masterminds there are, and masterminds on things that you are just totally not interested in. You know, like I was talking to a friend, and they help another expert run a mastermind on a bird watching mastermind, and it's like almost like a mastermind / retreat kind of destination event, and they love it, and it's like a very niche special thing. So don't think that your thing is not capable of having a great mastermind, and it's worked for centuries and eons. Like it's just a human thing, right? Masterminds are great. If you haven't read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, you should. But he talks about, you know, having regular masterminds with people that you respect and that you can learn from, and that you can add value to, and masterminds are really awesome. So there's lots of cool reason to do masterminds, and when you have a good community, and you have a good group of people that you're already influencing and talking to, then a good mastermind is like kind of a no-brainer, as long as you understand their price points and where they're at. And you know, I lots of people do cruise type masterminds. Those are really great, and almost easier to do a cruise mastermind than others, because the cruise already is set up to take care of your people and give them a high class experience. So doing a cruise is like, can we have a room to meet in, you know, once a day? And they're like, yeah, sell the cruise. And then how easy is that, right? Because they're already trying to create a high class experience. So cruise type masterminds are really good, and they work pretty well. So anyway, all right. Well, that's fun. I love Ascension choreography, and that's just like literally the tip of the iceberg. I just thought we would, since we were doing a lot of basic systems throughout the E7S systems, it seemed like a fun one to talk about and to work on together, so that you guys could kind of get an idea of what a basic one was. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. As usual, if you would like to always be up on what is going on in the world of systems choreography for your business, then you can join us in systemsforexperts.com. Systemsforexperts.com. We have a free community Love to see you in there. And we offer some cool free courses and some cool stuff in there for you to come in and just dig into the world of systems and the choreography behind them. Love to have you join us. Lots of free stuff we have for you. If you're interested in that well-formed system, the Alpha Systems Framework, you can go to systemsforexperts.com/ASF. That's the Alpha Systems Framework, and get that for free so that you can have it anytime you're building a system. You want to have that available to you. And that's it. So come join us, come get all the free stuff that we have to offer you, and come and work on your systems, learn about your systems, and improve what you're doing. Because if you can do that, you can reach more people, you can impact more people. And if you improve your systems, maybe most importantly of all, is that you gain back some time and some freedom, and you get to do more of what you love. And if you can do that, then you'll keep impacting more people. And I think that part's really cool. So, all right, guys, have a good one. Until I see you next time, when we'll work on some more systems. Keep choreographing your business, and we'll see you next time on Business Choreography Live. Take care.